So speaking of solo leveling, let's jump into the topic.
That's the subject of today's show.
That's called a segue. Once again, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and all the socials. So solo leveling. A bit of information here. So you know that this is a manhwa, right? Which is a Korean manga, and a manhwa of, I'm saying this wrong, so forgive me. There's manga, manhwa, and manhwa in China.
Okay.
So there's three different types. Manga being the most popular, the one that everyone knows. Solo leveling, because it came from Korea.
Yeah.
It's a manhwa. Once again, I'm saying the word wrong. Some of the big differences are that, one, manhwa are primarily, or a large part of it, are webtoons, are webcomics.
Yeah.
So
I heard they're kind of like a webtoon.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they're almost always in color, whereas manga is mostly black and white.
Right.
Because
right.
they are going straight to print.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you compare it to like U.S. comics that are also mainly in color, the U.S. consumer is paying like 9 to 10 cents per page, where Japanese manga people audiences are paying about 2 cents per page. Also, I'm getting a lot of this information from this channel, Spices Exist. I'm going to link to them in the comments, but they did a good 10-minute video on the differences between manga and manhwa.
Yeah.
Manhwa, obviously Korean. They read from left to right, where manga is right to left.
Yeah.
And because it's a webcomic, that's far less cost and a far less constricting distribution channel. So boom, color. And they were saying he was also going through like how it's read. It's very easy. Like it's you can tell when you're reading it, it's meant for the web. Like you're scrolling where.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
Or manga, you're like, how am I following?
Right.
I don't really read manga like that. But I remember when we were looking at the Death Note episode, and we had you sent me the actual ending of Death Note.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I read this?
Oh yeah, it can be a little confusing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, those are just a few bits of tidbits about the differences between manhwa and manga. And so once again, solo leveling is a Korean manhwa that has gotten very popular. Fun fact: the direct translation for the Korean word of solo leveling is "I alone level up." It's not solo leveling, which I think is amazing on whoever decided to call it solo leveling.
Yeah,
much better title. Much better title.
I alone level up?
Yeah. So if you wanted to finish the comic is actually finished. The official translations aren't, but there are fan translations that are complete that are doing more that directly translated the title to "I alone level up."
Oh, okay.
Which when I saw that, I was like, nope. Solo leveling is the correct choice for an English-speaking audience.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Even though "I alone level up" is more accurate to the point of the story, I don't care. It just solo leveling sounds way cooler than "I alone level up." Power Fantasy, just the studio that is producing the anime is A1 Pictures, and I think it's being primarily distributed on Crunchyroll. So that's a bit of background. What do you think about the story?
All right.
What? I just love the lead up, and you're just like, just fine. It's all right,
Because I like the. Okay, I kind of figure out what was going on because it's very similar to a genre book called or genre of a novel called like literary RPG. I'm serious.
Lit RPG?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've actually auditioned for some of those books before. And it's like there's always a character trying to level up. There's like a screen, I guess, and then like a menu, and they're choosing items and stuff and using potions. Because I was like on episode like 2, I was like, this seemed very. I feel like I've seen this kind of story before, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of what it is basically. But like I liked the first 2 episodes, because it was actually kind of scary to figure out, like, because he was the weakest hunter.
Very strong first 2 episodes, yes.
And then it's like everybody, they complete a mission and they're like, oh, let's keep on going. And it's like, okay. And then this awful thing is happening, and all these characters or all these hunters are dying. And then like he's the weakest one, but still figuring out the puzzle.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really strong.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like the danger kind of goes away, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's not as strong anymore. And like it just seems like he's cheating because he has this menu. I can just level up in 2 days, and it's just like, okay, well.
So basically, the general plot is the world has like these basically a bunch of portals open up that lead to these dungeons, and the dungeons have monsters in them. And at the same time, people, the only people who can fight these monsters within these dungeons are called hunters, and then you're ranked from E to S on the amount of mana that you possess. With S being the strongest, E being the lowest, and if whatever you are ranked wise, you are stuck there, right?
Yeah.
Hence the Korean title, I Alone Level Up, right? Because this guy, a couple episodes in, gets the ability to get stronger and kind of has the ability now to jump rankings of being a hunter.
Right.
Now, within the first 2 episodes, love the world, love the.
Yeah.
I think I texted you. I was like, "Yeah, I like this. It's a pretty straightforward plot." I think the animation is really good, like how it looks. Though I have some quibbles with the action, which I'll get to later. But I do think you're right. The first 2 episodes, very spot on with the amount of danger, the stakes. He's only doing this because his mom is sick with endless sleep or whatever, and we're just like, dude, what are you doing this for? Right? And then that double dungeon in the first episode.
Yeah, that was
I was like, oh my god.
I was like, oh god, okay.
And he's relying on his intellect. So the stakes of the first 2 episodes do not carry through for the rest of the show.
It does not.
And I think I still like the show. I'm still like I'm here for the next 12. I think my gripe with the show was that you have this in the first 2 episodes. You've established this lore, whatever the rankings, like what you can do, and then now he gets this ability to level up, which I was like, oh, so only he can do this? It's like, okay, fine, but then you enter a game mechanic which also no one else can do. So like you can not only is he the only one that can level up, but he's also has access to the system. Which I was like, oh, well, shouldn't everyone have access to at least to the system?
Yeah.
And it gives him this air of him being a little OP,
It felt a little bit One Punch Man.
a little.
I was like, why does this feel like One Punch Man and nobody can stop him?
It's One Punch Man with a lot of, except he actually gets hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like a power fantasy, so I know that there's supposed to be some level of like I'll persevere. Also, never used the power of friendship. Plus 1 point. Very happy about that.
He didn't need to.
Right. The world building I still think is pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested in stuff like the association and then the guilds and them trying to like pay for him to work for them. I think that stuff is pretty interesting. So I like that.
That stuff was really cool. Right. The power, like the association having the different guilds.
Yeah.
Having the different guilds, and the world basically functions off of the minerals extracted from the dungeons, which I thought was all really cool. So I'm interested to see where that stuff goes. Mm-hmm. But to your point, the power scaling got a little off the rails early on.
Yeah.
Or at least you went from feeling like, he can die any minute, right? Which he technically does. But to like, now I'm a necromancer. What do you call it? It was called the Shadow Monarch. Now
I was like,
what?
I wasn't really too thrilled. Like, I didn't like the ending that much.
nothing happened. It just
nothing really. Yeah, nothing.
You can tell it was like we're gonna do 12 and we're just gonna end it in the middle of a chapter.
Yeah, especially if they're coming out later this year.
Yeah.
So like they just kind of it's another episode. I don't know, the necromancer thing. I was like, okay, you know, and the enemies are like pretty faceless outside of that association guy that just randomly is evil for some reason. He was like, and I like killing people too.
Yeah, I was like, crime in this world is weird.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, crime in this world is really weird. So you guys have an epidemic of murders. No one's reported this back. What is happening? I was like, dude, you have an epidemic of murders that just run rampant. Like the fact that these people are so easily doing this.
Yeah,
no one questions. You know, there's no audit. Like, surely no police cams on the.
No, yeah.
Yeah. God, yeah. It was interesting, but I was kind of like, yo, these people just getting killed in the dungeon. The pacing I thought was fine. I just my biggest thing was the action. Like, after watching JJK and Attack on Titan, you know, I think Mappa and Wit really get action down pat.
Yeah, they kind of raised the bar.
Yeah, and so the action wasn't bad, but the only thing I really remember is like the last fight with the what's it called, Igris or the
Oh
the
yeah.
But even then, it was I had no emotional ties to it because
it was a faceless enemy.
Faceless, yeah.
And then you don't really know.
Yeah, all the bad guys are faceless. Yeah, and then he somehow persevered. He should have. See what I was.
That's why I feel like the agent should have been the last guy to fight.
Oh, in the arc?
Yeah, because it's just like, this guy's been like trying to figure out who this kid is and stuff, and then you find out he's the actual villain, and they probably should. That's what I thought they should have done.
Yeah.
As a finale, even though the comic is, you know, I guess they're just doing it differently. But like, just having this random strong bad guy in a dungeon be the final boss of the season was like, okay, I don't really care that much.
See, I thought he was going to teleport out at the end.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought he was going to do.
That would make way more sense. I thought it was a neat little trick that he had he didn't do a side quest. So he got teleported out.
Oh right,
that was clever. Yeah, no, I really liked the show. I'm at about for the first 12, I'm at about a 7.5 to 8. I think it has like a lot of promise. Yeah, I'm a sucker for a good world build. Like I think the build is really
that kind of kept me on a little bit. I was like, all right, I kind of like this association guild thing a little bit.
The pacing wasn't bad. You kind of like the through line was real straightforward to follow. There's a lot of promise in it. I just feel like maybe they could have had a little bit more tension. Like they had tension when that kid who's with all the armor, who's the son of that. He's funny. I like Jinho.
Yeah, and like when they were betrayed by their teammates in that one mission, like that was
interesting.
That was pretty interesting. But other than that, I felt like it was a lot of solo leveling. You know, him just going in the dungeons and talking to the menu and stuff. So like it was fine, but it just felt like I feel like he shouldn't be leveling up this easily.
Yeah,
it felt like it was a little too easy. I guess maybe that might be it. You know who the voice actor? I think this is the voice actor for the guy who plays the main character, for in the English version, the guy who plays Zenitsu on Demon Slayer,
really?
Which makes sense because since Zenitsu changes his voice, he's crazy and he's serious when he falls asleep, and in this one he's kind of like you know, like when he's weaker, and then now he has a serious voice when he gets like a lot stronger. I
dipped over to the English version. I thought the voice acting was actually pretty good. I was like, it was pretty spot on. I was like, oh, okay, y'all got it pretty good. Because I always dip over to see what it sounds like, and there was a real dramatic scene. I was like, oh, okay, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think they gave him the Aaron treatment too early.
Yeah.
He could have leveled up. But he was a little too badass too early. It's like, wait.
I was like, wait, yeah. It just seemed like it happened too quickly.
You know, I think the tension would have stayed up if he was still a bit more... Like, for a show that reportedly is supposed to go 6 seasons, I just thought by, like, this season, maybe at the very end of the season, he
You
would have been
gotta
like,
lose. You gotta lose a couple times. Like you
Yeah.
gotta like get beat up some. Like I didn't feel like he
Yeah.
got beat up enough.
he was real. Like that, the first 3 episodes were incredible.
Yeah.
And the stakes and the tension and how his his emotions were running through. Episode 5, I think what it was after he when they went into that spider cave and he got the system told him to kill the guys.
Yeah.
That's when I said, oh, okay, he's now just he went from Jinwoo to Chad Jinwoo. You know, like it's just like, okay. And it took a lot of whenever you turn a character into like Super Saiyan mode, it takes a lot of the stakes out of it. But once again, yeah. Other than that, I liked everything else to it. It has the makings of a very solid show for me.
Yeah.
I think I still have hope for it.